What is up? All right, so we're back. Let's not play this yet. Let's talk a little bit. I'm actually doing the first breakdown since, June 10th. If you haven't been following the journey, if you haven't been following the vlog, dealt with a little bit of an injury type dynamic thing. Elbow started acting up with those bone chips that I've had in there. Anyways, long story short, missed some time and then ended up getting released from the team that I was on due to the injury process and how kind of independent ball works. We won't get into the logistics of things. And then 2 days after that, signed with a new team in the same league, New York Boulders. That is where I currently am, and got healed, got healthy, made my return in Canada, which was the first time I've ever been in Canada. And so that's where we're at. This start is from August 1st. Today is August 7th. As I'm recording this, I'm actually starting against the same team, so that's why I didn't want to release this breakdown before today. So tonight I got another start against the same team. So we're going to play this and we're just going to break it down. So this would be my, fourth breakdown, but all turf field, different atmosphere for sure in Canada. This was their first series. I think their first sporting events since the borders opened, and it was a pretty cool series. We ended up taking 2 or 3, and we're in a playoff hunt and so on and so forth. So I don't know what I was thinking, to be completely honest, with my giddy up here, black sleeves and then the blue 3/4. I don't know, but we're grinding anyways. Got a little shimmy going here. Sorry, apologize ahead of time for the quality of this video. So I want to start with this. I don't know why this happens, but anytime you see my finish and it looks like open hand like that on a fastball, it's not good. It goes in the dirt or it goes in the turf, whatever. And I still, to be completely honest, don't really know from a physical standpoint of why this happens, but I do know I believe it's more of a kind of like a physical restriction type thing. All right, so let's get this show on the road. So this is how the dang game starts. And this is my return. I haven't played in probably 6 weeks. Haven't been out there with the boys in that long a time. And this is how it starts with this leadoff triple, and that facial expression from him says it all. If it, whatever. But let's go back to this pitch. So this is a 1-0 pitch, and I did the freaking palm thing again. Weird. But this is a 1-0 pitch, and to be completely honest, what are we doing? Like, that's exactly where I want it. Good for him to be able to obviously throw the hands at it and just get enough of the bat to then get a little scribber down the line. And good thing we're on turf, because that puppy rolls all the way down, and all of a sudden it is a leadoff triple. I don't know off the top of my head what the statistics are for a leadoff triple scoring in that inning, but they're probably pretty high, right? So anyways, now I'm kind of in the mode of like, all right, where are we at, dude? Like, is this how it's going to be? Is this the game? I talk a lot about how the game is just the game, and it's, that stuff happens. So start this guy off. I believe that was a cutter, and now I love this target right here. End up missing my spot, but this is the beauty of like having this kind of set sights type thing here. I talk a lot about the elevated fastball and even the elevated cutter, which we'll obviously dive into a little bit more throughout this breakdown. But something about like having an elevated sight set, it's going to allow me to really like get through the pitch. Whereas like in that first AB, it was kind of like my first time back. Obviously there's nerves and whatever. But this target here, for some subconscious reason, don't really know why, but I do know it's apparent that it allows me to physically be a little bit more free and to get through my pitches. As you can see, the pitch here, mislocation, but just a lot better just in terms of overall like getting through it and what have you. So throw a curveball here, pretty good curveball. I don't want to do all these things, slowing it down the whole entire time. But this is my piece with like 2-pitch tunneling, big on 2-pitch tunneling. So as you can see with this fastball, we wanted it up, right? So out of the hand, if we could have got it at the vicinity of where the target was, right? So like right here, as you can see, this is not where it ends up right about here. Okay. So as I mentioned, still a pretty good pitch in terms of conviction and getting through it. But what that does with this 0-2 curveball now is we're starting that same tunnel. See how it pops out? See how it pops out just a little bit there? And what I mean by pops out is like it goes up instead of stays on the plane as the fastball would. And so now it ends up here, middle, right? And I'm in attack mode, obviously, like a starting pitcher, first time out, I'm going to start attacking. I don't want to shy away from that. But if we could have got that heater, that pitch before, so out of that tunnel to go into that location, this is going to play a lot better, in my personal opinion. So honestly, got away with one there. That was the first curveball I thrown in the outing. Again, high target and pretty good in terms of execution. That 2-pitch tunnel again with that hanging curveball. And now we can go another curveball. That was just terrible. See, for me, that's an uncompetitive pitch. Whatever. So this is a pretty good teaching point. We go cutter here. Okay, cutter after that curveball. So curveball doubled up with the curveball. Hitter's probably going to be going, okay, he's coming fastball. But this tells us a lot. This gives us a lot of information on this individual. Obviously got a leg kick. And just watch how he takes it, right? So if he's taking this like a fastball, it's right around this area. But since it's a cutter, it goes pretty close to hitting him, right? Like it's not too far off, whereas usually guys that if the ball comes this close to hitting them, they will shoot back. They'll get the heck out of the way or move their lead foot. So I'm kind of thinking here like, okay, well, he's not picking that spin up on that cutter, right? There's a little disconnect there. He's not picking that up. So let's go right back. Ooh, I almost sounded cool, but I forgot. Now let's go back to it, which is interesting, right? Because it's that same pitch as the pitch that he took fairly easy out of the hand. We could make a conversation for maybe this pitch right here, this fastball down looks like a ball out of the hand to me. So I don't know how much of a part that played in it, but that just gave him a straight look. And now this one could be very similar to that, maybe a little bit more elevated and then soared, right? But this is the overarching, underlying, however you want to say it, like piece to my ability to sequence, or just even like the best of the best ability to sequence is the amount of like competitive misses that they have. Competitive misses, just because it's a ball, right? Just because it's a ball doesn't mean that it is not a good pitch. And I think the guys at the highest level do that exceptionally well, where every single pitch they throw is competitive to then it's setting up another pitch. Even though it's a ball, they're in the mindset of like, okay, well, that can set up this. That can set up this. Okay, so now we're one out, guy on third. Good take there on the 0-0 slider, 1-0 slider. Now we're 1-1, elevate heater. Oh, why are you freezing on me, girl? Yeah, so we elevated heater. I love this pitch here because we just went 2 sliders in a row. Maybe one of them was a curveball, but that's the location that I want to really put emphasis on right here, because that's letters, right? So it's a ball, but he's got to have engagement. You got to realize too, like you can, as a pitcher, hitters, you can play that aggressiveness and guys in scoring position against them, right? Everyone, a lot of hitters want to be the hero. When guys are in scoring position, they want to cash them in, RBIs, all that stuff. So you can kind of pitch in such a way, especially with 2 bases open in this particular instance, that that forces them to get going with their hands. All right. So now I make a bad pitch. Okay. So we're 1-2. I saw that pitch before. He was engaging up here. Again, guys in scoring position, especially elevated heaters, that's going to be something that they can get in the air, right? And you want to do that with less than 2 outs, obviously with the sac fly in order. So I'm trying to elevate even more from that previous pitch, okay? Even more. So the previous pitch was probably right around this area. I'm going to go right around this area. And the way that I've seen him kind of go about this particular at bat, especially the 2 breaking balls early in the count, I think we can get an engagement in that area. And there's no way that he's going to be able to, catch up to that, barrel it up, whatever. But instead, I throw it there, which is, if I'm not mistaken, right down the middle. And if I'm not mistaken again, that's probably going to get hit. And it's probably going to do the job that they want to do in terms of the sac fly. So kind of failed in terms of being in a particular count with the ability to get another strikeout and not executing. But it's the game. Now my boy Gift and Gope, really like this sequence. Started him off, fastball in the dirt, and then we go 2 cutters in a row, probably the best cutters of the night, and then we go with a breaking ball. So I talk about this sequence a lot as well, right? So 2 different breaking balls, maybe similar type of spins, right? But the depth and the break on the differences of the 2 drastically different, right? So out of the hand, maybe he reads, oh, that's that cutter again. Now it's 6 miles an hour slower with more, downward depth, whereas the cutter is more this. So just, again, trying to make things difficult for guys, but probably one of my best sequences of the night. I can't wait to show you guys the next time I face him. That's where it gets fun. So now second inning, again, get my bearings. Was he not sitting on a first pitch cutter? He got it, hitting 429. It's cool there because everything's in French. So it's, I don't even know. Start him off cutter. You can start seeing though, like I start getting a little bit more fancy in terms of early in counts. Not giving in early in counts like, I'm just going to get ahead here. That's a great pitch right there, man. Fastball elevated in. Lefties, that's tough. Let's see where this is. Yeah. That's another. So, yeah, shoot, man. Like if we look, tiers, right? So I'm like big onto this tier, not even with just the heater, but a lot of other things, because I think it opens up this tier where you'll start seeing, especially in the big leagues, guys that are taking balls like heaters at the knees. Because again, when we're looking at like eye levels on these particular tiers, it's tough. Like obviously it's tough eye levels and going east to west, in and out, but going up and down, especially, we don't even have to dive into like the pitch data metrics or anything, but hitting's hard as it is, and especially when you're tunneling and sequencing in such a way that I try to, it makes it tough. So now 2 outs, first pitch, curveball again, as I mentioned, trying to not necessarily get fancy, but just trying to be unpredictable. I think unpredictable promotes uncomfort in the box. And then now I like this pitch, right? So this is that thing I was talking about. Obviously a ball, like I'm not going to get that call, but it's that thing I was talking about. Even though I haven't faced this guy in this game, we look at those tiers again, right? And it's like, that's a take for him out of the hand. And now, even though I showed him that, it's going to set some other things up in the rest of the at bat. Because now I can go down there again, coming off. I can go down there again, see what we get. But again, I do that right in that area, and he takes it. So that's going to be information for me moving forward, where he probably just looking low. It's not his hot spot. He's going to, just kind of not swing, not engage. Why would he, right? First pitch breaker. Gosh, I love this sequence. I hate to keep slowing this video up, but I just want to show this sequence again, man. Like first pitch cutter. So if we just look at the tunnel out of the hand, boom. Okay. Enter third. Beautiful. Now we're going to use that same. Now we're looking at like quadrants. So if this is 1, this is 4, or that would be 3. Now we're going to use those quadrants where like that cutter can start in 1, end in 3. And now this fastball is going to start in 1, end in 1, right? And then you have the other ones over here. 2, 4. Terrible box. But that's what makes it tough, right? Where you have pitches that are ball, strike, ball. And then we throw the curveball in the dirt or in the turf. So another AB in particular that I really, really like the sequencing of that AB. Love that target. Boom, execute. Now that's an 0-0 elevated heater. That's a pretty good 0-1 cutter. But again, it's a good information for me because now I can go to that and I think he's going to take it. So I can steal one and then let's go elevate it again. Great play, dude. Great play. That fired me up. But pretty good sequence. If we elevate that last heater, probably get a little swing or swing and a miss. You know, that was probably too much in that center cut. Okay, so we're 1-1, right? And now I thought he hit that. I remember thinking like, didn't he foul that off? Now I just start getting, this is where I go wrong. I get in this mode where it's like, okay, it's 2 outs. You'll see the hand thing happen again, you know, and I get in this mode where it's like, just throw a strike. And then that just throw a strike mentality. I've been doing this for freaking like 12 years and I still fall victim of that. But what are you going to do? 0-2, it's that same lefty, right? Same lefty as the first inning. We talked about that leg lift, and I just didn't think he was seeing spin. So I thought he swung at that. Did he not swing at that? Pretty sure he swung at that. Anyways, we'll get him on that one. But again, when you identify something early in the game, like don't shy away from it, right? Don't shy away from it. Like trust your gut in terms of what you see and like be convicted in that particular sequence. We saw something early in the game where I was like, I don't think he's seeing that based on his reactions. You can take that information and use it as we flip the lineup over. Because again, when we start flipping the lineups over, hitters are going to get more comfortable. They obviously just see, that's a great sequence right there. Do you see the 1-0 cutter in and then throw, that's a good take. And then the fastball that goes off that tunnel. But now that's 2 great takes, honestly, from him. And then when we talk about that uncomfort, like what promotes uncomfort for the hitter is the unpredictability. So maybe he doesn't know this, but maybe he does. He just took that pitch, which is a good pitch, and he's like, he ain't throwing that again. But it's like, all right, well, let's just change the axis a little bit on that particular pitch, whereas this previous one, I think, broke a little bit more than I would like in terms of the cutter, more like downward depth than I would like this. Because again, we went 1-0 fastball here, which is riding into that location. So ideally, we would want that cutter to ride and then break horizontal, which is exactly what this one does. Shot. Little bit of downward depth, but it's late, so we're good. I don't know what am I doing right there. So this is the other at bat with my buddy. I just throw. So the first at bat, I threw them all cutters. We had just had a conversation like the day before. I was talking about cutters and stuff, and I was like, all right, well now I'll just kind of just throw fastballs right down the middle, see what you got. Because he was swinging out of his shoes in the first. So I was like, hey man, like let's go, see how far you can hit. So I shake a couple times and just giving him fastballs, and he freaking does a little hopper thing off the turf that bounces up into the sky and comes down, and we have a nice little funny exchange here as I turn and look at him and kind of like, hey, what are we doing? Why don't you freaking take that to the moon? But it was actually a pretty good executed pitch. Really good sequence here. Get my ground ball double play, and turf fields, right? Turf fields it goes through. Gotta love it. First and third. How we doing? Man, this game is frustrating sometimes, you know? You got to be kind of insane to play this thing. So, and then with 1 out, guy on third, sac fly in order, make a really good pitch with that 1 hopper to first. So he ends up staying at third. So now we're in a position with guys on second and third with 2 outs. We can get out of this inning unscathed. So hang a breaking ball. And again, this is that same guy that was seeing those breaking balls down, right? And he was just laying off of them. Okay, so that's more information from his first at bat that we can use in the second at bat. And now we're going to show up and we're going to get him going up. Great pitch there. Okay, so when we look at the previous pitch, it's not about the like So with this pitch particular, so this is the 1-0, I think, and it's going to be the hanging slider. It's not about like what you thought the execution was in terms of, okay, I wanted to do X, Y, Z, but it's about what the reality of it was. So with this, obviously we hang that slider, which he should have took to the absolute moon. Okay. But what we can do, since he did foul that off, is we can use it now to go even more elevated, as you see with this pitch. Okay. So same location. Now, if I had to do this all over again, as you see, I don't really do what I want to do in this next pitch. So we can just play that forward. Again, really big situation. The score's 1-1 in the fourth. So if I were to do this all over again, I wouldn't do that. And I know what I was thinking. Okay, so we went with the curveball. I know what I was thinking because the two previous pitches, the slider and the fastball, were both in that like kind of somewhat elevated spot. But I was like, well, why can't I throw another one that goes even higher and drops in? So if I could do it all over again, as I mentioned, this is just 3 in a row that are in that same spot. You know, like professional hitters are good and they can make these adjustments. But if I could do it all over again, I would just climb that fastball ladder a little bit more in that tier because, again, information from his previous at bat, something down, you know, wasn't really for him. He wasn't chasing the breaking balls in the dirt. So I would just I face him tonight. So maybe I'll do that. Frustrating in terms of like why those runs were given up. You know, that's the game of baseball. If we really look at the grand scheme of things, like that first run, we had that triple. And then in the fourth inning, that run was that 14 hopper to second. And then the ground ball double play that got through the infield. And then you had that hit was probably the only real hit, in my opinion, of the whole entire game. Really good sequence here. And this is probably the best cut fastball I threw all night. Yeah. Good. But all in all, man, in terms of where I think I did really well was I thought my sequences for the most part were pretty solid. In terms of the execution of those sequences, I thought we did a good job. In terms of the identification of reading hitters, I think we did a good job. And especially for being on the mound for the first time in 6 weeks. And I only threw one bullpen between those 6 weeks. And then it was like, all right, we got to start because I was with a new team. I didn't want them to wait forever to get me back. So I was like, let's ride, dude. And I was supposed to go only 3 innings, 50 pitches. I think I went 4 innings, 64 pitches. And the arm feels good. So we're cooking. But yeah, overall positive outing. A lot to take away from it as well. As I mentioned in the beginning, we're facing these guys again tonight. So it should be interesting. But cool. All right. Much love, guys. Be sure to check out the vlogs. The vlogs are continuing to roll. And they're more alive than ever. I don't even know what that means, but here we go. All right. God bless. Until next time.